hours conversation. And today we are talking about planning your business for success and ultimately how to plan your day, how to be intentional as an agent. We got some pretty cool stuff, I guess, that has come out in the past week. Yeah, I mean, Matt and I were talking last week, and I think this is something that we talk about on a fairly regular basis, because I think one of the reasons that agents fail, there's that old saying, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And people are not intentional enough with their day, as agents, how they plan, because I think a lot of people that they get into this business and they're not kind of entrepreneurial mindset of people. There's a lot of people that kind of come from W-2 background jobs, and they're used to kind of following a schedule and being told what to do. And so you get into this space and all of a sudden you have all this freedom and you're like, holy crap, I don't even know what to focus on. It's like, how do you know what activities are going to lead to what results, and what do you focus on? And how do you align your activities with what you say you want to accomplish, right? Like, in a lot of people, if you don't understand, one of the big things that I always talk about is, like, focus on the activities, don't focus on the results. And if we focus on the impact and the service, and and we understand how to align the right activities up with what our desired impact and service and everything is, well, then we focus on those activities and we add value into the marketplace. And then on the other side, if we look at everything like a funnel, at the other end of the funnel, what will come out is revenue, based on the amount of value that you added to the marketplace. And this is something that you are really good at working with agents on, and you help build structure. You're a little bit of a better hand holder than I am, when it comes to that kind of stuff. And you have a bit more patience, with that side of the business than I do. So God bless you for that. But I would love to hear kind of from you, because you've done a lot of the team building and a lot of this stuff for a long time. So what do you see is, like, the number one reason that people struggle with this concept of time management, even though, like, I hate the phrase time management, by the way. And before I let you get into it, I interviewed a guy, his name is Richie Norton, and he wrote a book called Anti-Time Management. And it's all about, we're trained as kind of a population to kind of like manage our time and time block. And not that doesn't have a place, from a structural perspective. But he talks about, if we are really intentional about the life that we want to live and the what we want to accomplish, then we align our activities with the things that we value most, right? And there's a whole process and thing to it. That's a whole different video to talk about. But I felt like I had to say it, because, like, the whole time management idea to me is really challenging. And I think when we get into what we're going to talk about today, we're going to be able to break down, where are the opportunities for you to really dial in what your focus of activities is, to align your business activities with what you're actually trying to accomplish. So, all that said, where do you see people struggling the most at this point in time?
Well, I think you hit it spot on in the beginning. A lot of people get in this industry from a job, right? They kind of fall into this industry. And I think that's the biggest thing, is at a job, they give you structure. They give you a schedule. They tell you exactly what you need to do, when you need to do it. Yeah. And for the first time, for a lot of agents, when they come into this industry, they don't have any structure. Now, some companies might offer structure, some companies don't. And, the quality of the structure, that matters. And that's really the big problem. And, I've worked in a lot of different types of team settings, different companies, and, the WFG, PHP model, the simplified issue, family first life model, all these other models. And, coming over here with you guys, I have to say, hands down, you have the best idea as far as the agent planner. It is the best program I've seen. If an agent actually went through and intentionally followed the program for 90 days and just stayed focused on that, and we talked about it before, I just don't see a way that it wouldn't guarantee success.
All right, so let's talk about it. Let's get into it a little bit, because I think the challenge that most people have is structuring their day, right?
Mhm.
Like, and one of the things that I am really big on is just living life intentionally. I mean, that's what Life 180 stands for, is living intentionally for excellence. And
Mhm.
one of the challenges. So this is kind of fun, guys. Just side note. I've been waiting for these for a long time. We had a lot of supply chain issues that came along with everything. And we have these planners that came through. This is a planner. I think I've talked about it a bit on the channel, as time has gone on. But it's basically what Matt just said, a 90-day challenge planner that you can kind of keep track of your daily schedule. But on top of that, it's basically how you can go through each day and set your intention. It starts off, let me see here. Let's see if I can, you can see kind of here, it starts off with, it's kind of rough to see. Obviously it's kind of not perfect. But at the end of the day, really what we're doing is we're starting off with a morning mindset, and it goes through just different questions so you get your mind and your heart and your energy in the right place, talking about the things that you're excited about, setting your intention, thinking about intentionally, like, who are you going to be really looking to make an impact in their life? Who are people that need your help today? What are some people that you could surprise with an act of kindness? Something that you could do to demonstrate excellence and add true value to your community. Like, asking yourself questions like this and starting your day like that before getting up and checking your phone, before waking up and just hopping into social media and everything. Wake up, do this exercise, being intentional about, like, what is the impact that you want to make in the world? Like, what are you called to do from a perspective of service and adding value to the world? Like, what are you being called to do? And being intentional about all that. Now, also, because I'm a big believer in physical activity. I'm a big believer in health. It's one of the 5 F's is fitness, health. So we got a little thing down here on tracking daily movement. Like, what is your intention of health and movement and exercise and stuff like that? Also, here's the deal. Like, I always kind of say, don't be a life insurance agent. Be an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs solve problems. This guide, this planner is designed to help you really integrate like an entrepreneurial mindset, and then thinking about utilizing that mindset to helping solve problems for people. And then it integrates some of the activities that are just very unique to life insurance, right? Like, that's because, make no mistake, this is for life insurance agents, right? And so when we look at that, it's as we start our day, we go through the intention. Then at the top of the morning page, because there's a page, one side is for morning and one side is for afternoon and evening, right? And so when we look at the top of the morning page, it's got today's top 3 goals and priorities. So think about, how much different do you think most agents would be, Matt, if they were able to start their day off with full clarity on who they wanted to serve? And it's not about just selling life insurance, but it's about building their own brand, building their own, I guess, vision for what they want to do to accomplish. And like, actually, I was talking, I'm trying to, I got a little distracted because, like, I'm thinking about Jeff. Jeff is at my house yesterday, and we were talking through a bunch of stuff, and some of the things that I'm working on and some of the conversations we've had with people lately and some of the projects, and just kind of like, the videos I've been doing lately with like Garrett Gunderson, and just the evolution of everything as it's been happening. A lot of people, I think, that see Life 180 now, they just see like, hey, YouTube channel, 20,000, 25,000 subs, and agency's big and it's growing and like momentum. They don't see necessarily the work that has had to happen for it to get here. And Jeff and I were talking about the fact that, like, when I first got into business, Garrett was like the dude, right?
Yeah.
Like, he was the guy. He wrote the book Killing Sacred Cows, which has probably had just as much of an impact on everybody in this business, probably more than any other book. The What Would the Rockefellers Do is his other book that, has had a huge impact. And so, like, when it came to video, I remember watching his video being like, man, if I could ever be in his, even in his shadow, like, I'd be doing well. You know what I mean? And so like to have him like reach out to me and wanting to do videos with him, like that kind of stuff was like pretty cool. But like it doesn't happen by accident. And I can say the reason I made this is because, like, listen, I'm not going to sit here and tell you I'm perfect about like doing this every single day. We all go through phases in life. We have some growth phases. We have maintenance phases, all this stuff. But what I will say is, like Jeff said this yesterday, he goes, Chris, what is it? Your people know who you are before they even meet you, is what he said. And it wasn't about me. It was just like kind of like almost like a Chinese proverb kind of statement, right? Where it was just because Jeff like speaks in metaphors all the time, right?
Yeah.
That's just the way he is. And but like the whole idea is like your reputation is going to precede you anywhere you go. And as life insurance agents, like, make no mistake about it, there's no more trust-based products sold in the market than this. You know what I mean? And so your ability to be able to serve people is going to be directly aligned with your ability to get them to trust you. And so, you know, too many people get into this business and they're thinking like, how do I just sit down with people, set up appointments, you know, start closing business, start like putting quotes in front of people and all this stuff. And my advice is kind of take a step back, go through the morning intentional mindset questions that you can do every single day, and just start serving your community. And I promise you, if you do this without even thinking about selling life insurance, you're going to be well served, and you're probably going to sell a hell of a lot more life insurance. What do you think?
Amen, brother. That's man, I tell you, like, even let's take the industry out. Like, let's say you're not even an insurance agent and you just followed the book, your life would change. Because I think in our world, we're not taught this, how to wake up, how to prepare. Like, little secret of mine, most people don't know, but I heavily study Stoicism. And if you follow Marcus Aurelius and all the guys, Seneca and all them, the main thing, one of the main things they do is daily ritual, taking inventory, journaling, and reflecting on the day. There's a huge significant change that happens when you do that. But we're not taught in school. Most parents don't tell their kids to do it. Most parents don't even do it. And so we just have a culture of, you know, we just wake up. First thing we do, we check social media or we check our email. And so whatever the first thing that we see when we wake up in the morning, that usually can set our tone for the day, can set our mood for the day, can set, you know, the intention for the day. And we just have so much distraction with technology. And I could almost guarantee, even if you're not in the industry, whether you have this planner or you write on a notepad, if you woke up and the first thing that you did is set your attention and what you want to focus on for the day, just that, just write it down. I think that would go, you know, huge changes in your life. And it's just really awesome the way you put it together in the planner. It's not just the morning, like you have it all throughout the day. And I'm just really like, I wish everybody would at least try it, because if you actually filled it out in the morning, in the afternoon, and in the evening, right? Your first couple of weeks, you're not going to feel any changes. You're going to be like, what am I doing? You just keep on going, keep on going. And after 30 days of documentation, I think this is the gift for people. This is the reward that you get for taking the action of documentation and journaling. After 30 days, you're going to see the words that you wrote, right? And how you wrote it, your tonality, your perspective, your limited beliefs. And what's cool is this: after 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, if you are growing as a person, right, mentally and in the business, you can see who you become and who you used to be. And you'll look back and think like, I can't even believe I used to be that person. And for me, this industry, it's not even about selling life insurance. This industry, the greatest gift I ever received is the person I've become, or I had to become, to be good in the industry, right? Helping agents, helping clients. That's the greatest gift. And to be able to look back when I watch videos, I mean, you have a whole catalog of videos you can watch on YouTube. I've seen some of your old videos. I'm like, man, Chris has changed so much. Like, like what the heck? You know what I mean?
It's true.
But if you watch your old videos, you can't help to notice like the courage behind it. You know what I mean? You knew you just the intention, the direction you wanted to go, you just wasn't there yet, right? And I think a lot of people, they need a platform like your planner or journaling, where they can actually see the progression that they're going through, and they can look back. Because when you look back and see who you've become and who you used to be, that just gets you more motivated to do more good, to become a better person. And I challenge everybody, regardless, journal every day, set your attention, what you want to focus on, what you're going to accomplish.
Sure.
And it can totally change your life for sure.
So funny you say that. So last night, so one of the things my wife and I have started doing, there's this book, John Marks Templeton. Do you know who he is?
No, it sounds so familiar.
So John, he's like a philosopher. He was an investor. He was like from like the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, but he's like the OG, of like philosopher in the financial space, right? Like he was really well renowned as an investor, like super successful investor. But then later in his life, he became renowned and like well known, and his legacy has become more of a philosopher than an investor. So it's like, just the guy's a fascinating like human being, and was like, he's gone now, but like, my wife bought this book called The 200 Spiritual Laws of Life. And it's basically like a daily read where you read one law per day, 5 days a week for a whole year. And it just came in the mail like last week, and I started reading it, and instantaneously I was like, well, this is going to be a family exercise, and I've got a 12-year-old, 9-year-old, and a 5-year-old, for everybody who doesn't know this, and so, we just made the decision every night now before bed, we sit down at the kitchen table, and we've been reading this book, and we've been getting through these like laws of life. And, the first law, is like, control. When you control your thoughts, you control the world, right? Like that is the first law. And he's got all these things that go through it. And he quotes all these people from Zig Ziglar to, like all over the place. Right. And then, the second one was more of like a biblical concept from Proverbs, and it comes from other things too, but whatever. But it was like, those with no vision have no future. And the fascinating part is, and it was talking about how important vision is, right? And I'd never read this when I built this planner, but like I've obviously do a lot of self-development in groups and mentorship and reading and all that stuff. But, the fascinating part about this last night was the way it all read out. So what we've been doing is like, we read it, and it's like 2 pages, 2 big pages, because it's a big book with pretty small print, but it's like 2 pages. It takes me about 10 minutes to read it out loud to the kids. And they got to, the exercise is I read, and my wife and my 3 kids listen. And then as soon as I'm done reading, I ask my wife to kind of start. And I say, hey, what's your takeaway from that passage, from that law? And, she gives her feedback. And then it's so much fun to watch my 3 kids at the different stages of life to see how it applies to them, and it's cool because like our 8-year-old actually has the hardest time with it, because he's kind of in that tweener age where he's like starting to be self-conscious a little bit about what his thoughts are and doesn't want to be judged. Our 5-year-old's just like, whatever she says, whatever comes to her mind, and she doesn't really care. And our 12-year-old is very advanced intellectually, so she just like processes it through, and I'm just trying to take her to step back and emotionalize it a little more because she's too logical for her own good. But it was interesting. What happened to me last night as I was reading it is, like, talking about this vision in the passage. It was in the reading. He was talking about like, when you create a vision that is so strong that you believe in, you leave a ripple effect in this world energetically that you cannot like help but have your plan come through. And I'm going to tell you this, and Matt, you can speak to this because you've come in and you're helping complete this vision for me. Back in 2014, when I left National Life Group, and I started Life 180, and I went through this whole process. I had a group of people that joined me, and I had this goal of building the largest whole life agency in the country. That was my goal back in 2014. And some things happened. A lawsuit happened in National Life. That was one of them, and that was a big distraction and a big cost, and whatever. But then, I didn't have the right people on the bus at that point in time. And I wasn't, looking at it objectively, I wasn't who I needed to be yet to make it happen. Yeah. I had a lot of growth and a lot of learning to do. but it didn't change that my vision was like super strong and like emotionally in me. Like there was this like ripple effect from what that vision was. And the cool part about it is like, if you were to talk to anybody back then, that vision failed, right? Because I had my license, I was building the agency, I launched a YouTube channel, I got into the lawsuit, I had to give up my license. And when I gave up my license, everybody looked at me at that moment in time and was like, the vision failed. Like, like Life 180 was a failure. Chris was a failure. Like all these things, right? They didn't change the fact that like, even though I didn't, I would even publicly say at that point in time that I would say that I kind of gave up on my vision, right? Like I gave up on trying to execute on the vision because it was just a different time of a different focus. I had to focus on different things to take care of my family for a season.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I did, but I can say because of the fact that, back then, and I learned a lot of this stuff from like people like Brennan Burchard, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
because of the fact that I was so focused in that season of my life on my vision, on my intention, on how I started every day, on the way I tried to impact people's lives, and like the way I was just trying to add value into the world, right? Like as I was doing that, like it like obviously captured this energy because like as much as I walked away from it, it all came back when I wasn't looking for it. And like I can tell you now, like, even if I said, hey, I don't even really want to build this agency at this point in time, like it's getting built whether I like it or not. You know what I mean? Like it's because there's so much demand and so much traction and like everything that I built after giving up on building the agency, everything I built from a content perspective, just for the intention of paying it forward. Because I was like, listen, I gave up on the agency. I can't do that. There's all sorts of reasons I can't do it, but I still believe in the information. I still believe in the importance of our mission and our vision. So I want to create this channel to get this information out there. And that in turn just kind of created this ball of energy that ended up creating the agency and, attracting people like you that are now helping execute and build it to the next level, and it's, and that like last night, it really, we were going through this, that was the law. And it was fascinating to like experience it. I actually kind of teared up a little bit last night in front of my kids, and they thought I was pretty corny, right? Like, and it was what it was. But like, as we were going through it, I had that realization, like, holy crap, like it's all because of that vision. And I never thought about it in those terms. Thought about the fact that because I woke up every day and I was really intentional and I was in alignment with who I was showing up in the world as, in alignment with what I was trying to accomplish, like, if you do that, if you show up and you wake up every morning, you do this, and you reflect on what you're doing and you align your schedule in the middle of the day to be in alignment with your visions, and you're following up and your level of intention is like through the roof, like you can't help but succeed, right? Because, and then I would say success isn't just about money. Success is about what is your impact on your community? What is the impact in the people's lives that you're looking to serve? And so, somebody asked if I could put the name of the, it's just the life. The name of the book with John Marks Templeton, John Marks Templeton, 200 spiritual laws of success, or I don't know, 200. I don't know. I don't remember the name. It's like a big book. It's like 200 spiritual laws. I think if you look that up, you'll find it. But it's a big book. It's like it's like that thick. It's huge. It's like thicker than a Bible. It's really big. But it's like that to me is just really fascinating. So let me rip through this calendar, like how we have it laid out, and really quickly, just to make it really succinct for people, and then we'll talk about kind of continue the conversation about the importance of it. And I want you, based on what your coaching has been like with agents, to talk about kind of like the impact that it's made and what you're seeing. So what we have is we have the morning mindset. You wake up, you set your intention, you set your vision for the day, right? You think intentionally about how you're going to integrate your movement, your health, your diet, all that stuff into it, because I think that's super important. What we feed our body is going to feed how we show up in the world. You have your schedule. I'm a very digital person with my schedule. So what I do as I'm doing my vision, I go through my calendar. Like the only thing when I'm doing this the right way that I do with my phone is I look at my calendar and I transpose it onto here. And I literally will copy it over and I try to plan my day around it. I go through my top 3 goals and my priorities. And then what we have is we have a 15-point index, right? So we have what we call the 15-point day. And this is where, like, this is the only part, by the way, that makes this a life insurance agent guide. Everything else, what Matt was saying, is like anybody could use this planner. And I think everybody should use this planner, honestly. But the 15-point day, and I would encourage anybody, if you're a real estate agent, a mortgage officer, whatever, you can look at this from through the lens of that and maybe make a couple tweaks, to the point system, customize it to yourself and go from there. Or maybe if anybody out there is like big in the mortgage space, we can customize something for the mortgage people. We can work on that. But so make an appointment. When you make an appointment, you get 3 points. When you have a meeting and you schedule a follow-up appointment, you have 3 points. You get a referral, it's 2 points. You submit a life insurance application, it's 5 points. You get a policy placed and enforced, it's 5 points. You attend a networking event, it's 2 points. You take a prospect or client to lunch or an event, it's 1 point. You send an affiliate link. Okay, so this is for our Life 180 agents. We have all these marketing systems. When you send affiliate links or marketing videos that you can utilize to prospect to 5 people, each 5 people is worth 2 points. 1 hour of reading and self-development or education on product is 1 point, right? And so the idea here is if you focus on hitting 15 points every day, 5 days a week, 75 points a week, you will have no choice but to succeed in this business. And so then we go through in the afternoon, and this is done in the morning, but you write down the tasks that you must complete on top of your top 3 goals and priorities for the day. You schedule out your afternoon. You make notes, or if you have later appointments in the night that you want to prioritize, there's a place for notes that during the evening reflection, a lot of times I'll flip to the day before and I'll be like, all right, what were my notes from last night? How am I going to start my day today? That's kind of where I start. And then there's a daily reflection side where it's talking about like something that you truly appreciated about today was, I'm proud of the way that I handled this task or situation today. Like reflect on what you did well, right? Something new that I learned today was, and something that I could have improved today was, right? Like, so we're always kind of going through this, and we're trying to like reflect on our day, and then you're being your own coach, right? So at the end, it's like, if I were my own coach, I would tell myself this about today, right? And so then we have a scorecard. What was your and you rate yourself on a score of 1 to 5. What was your level of intention? What was your energy? How did you show up physically and mentally in the world today, energetically? Your boldness. What was your boldness? Today, I stepped out of my comfort zone in confidence and in authenticity. Like, what was that? Essentialism. There's a great book I read it. Greg McCown wrote it. It's called Essentialism. So I put it in here, that I prioritize my day according to what mattered most to me, right? Because that's the thing. Like, most people don't prioritize things in a way that's in alignment with what they say they want, right? Influence. I made a positive impact on others today. And urgency. I'm aware that if I don't help people, they may never be helped, right? So like, if we go through this and we just look from start of the day to end of the day, and we go through and you are living a life of intention. I use a lot of the phrases, you have to build yourself into a product. If you want to succeed in this business, you have to build yourself into an asset that adds value to the marketplace. And if you do that, you can't help but win, and I think the way to do that, a lot of people are like, well, I don't even know what that means. How do you do that? Well, you do it by doing this. That's really how you do it. So I'm gonna shut up now because I think I've been talking for 15 minutes. I'm gonna let you talk.
It's interesting. Like for me, like before I met you, the way I used to train and create structure, especially in this industry, I said, look, there's 2 sides that you have to look at to create structure.
Yeah.
2 things that you could be doing: working on your business or working in your business.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so now from there, you break it down. Well, what is defined as working on your business, right? That's creating a schedule, that's tracking, looking at data, that's, how you're going to sell, creating systems of how you're going to sell, how you're going to recruit. Working on your business is like learning, skill development. And then you got working in your business. And I think a lot of agents, when they first start in the industry, they spend so much time working on their business and they don't understand why money's not coming in, why financially their business is not growing, because they don't realize they're not working in the business. And generally, working in the business is, people don't realize we're it's a contact sport. Like, this industry is a contact sport, meaning if you're not contacting people, if you're not in front of people, there's no business. You have to be like contacting people, getting in front of people, getting exposed to people, having conversations. So, and working in your business, that's, making calls, going to networking events, talking with people, building relationships, stuff like that. And that was really a simplified way. And then when I saw your 15-point day, I thought, oh my gosh, what an easy way to basically do the same thing, but gamify it. Right. And so now you got these things that are really, within your control. And here's the main thing I always tell agents is, you can look at what you need to do, but there's a couple of things you also have to do. You have to have some type of tracking system. And then you have to have a feedback system. So as far as tracking goes, you have to be able to track whether it's an Excel sheet or a system. And I know our new website, our portal, our community that we're building, it actually automatically tracks it. So I'm thinking, oh, this is perfect. Everything I already knew that works, that I believed in, you did it. And we didn't even talk about it. And I'm thinking, you have to have a tracking system to show, so you can actually look at the data. Tracking is one of it. Then the second important thing is you need a feedback system. So the feedback system is where you can actually look at the data and take inventory, what's working, what's not, whether it's you looking at the data or you're getting feedback from coaching. So you have to have some type of feedback system, whether you're experienced enough to do it yourself or you need an outside person to give you the feedback. And so with your system, it's so great because now you can go through the 15-point day. And, when I'm working with agents now, it's very clear. Like, you are where you're at because you already know what you did and you didn't do. Right. It's like, there's no ambiguity. It's like cricket. Right. And I remember, we went into training one of these weeks, and that's one of the things we talk about in training on Tuesdays is, all right, guys, let's talk about the points you got this week, right? Because we're working to get to a daily 15, but you know where you're at, you're working towards it. Some agents are working on 15 at least in a week. Well, the cool thing is 15 in a week, that's more than you got the week prior. So at least you're working towards it, right? And I know one of our agents did like 30 in a day. Like he really killed it. And I said, that's great. You did it once. Now you could do it again. Right. And the cool thing is when we talk about the point system, it's the agents that are quiet. They know they didn't do anything, right? When they could have. I know it sounds like a bad thing, but it's actually a good thing because, what happens is this. When you know what you need to do to get to where you want to be, right? When you know, two things happen. You take that feedback and you decide, I am going to make a change and start doing it. Or you wait around for one of the best gifts, best teachers in this industry, and it's called pain. Because what happens is, as long as you don't quit and you keep on not doing what you need to do, this beautiful thing happens. You get this pain, whether it's you don't have enough money or you feel like a failure or whatever the case may be. And for some people, that pain is what they wait for. And I always tell people, don't wait to hit rock bottom before you take action. No, it's there. Just take action now, right? No point waiting around for it. But some people, they have to go through the lesson. And as you know all these points you should be working on and working towards, you come to a day where you're just like, okay, enough is enough. And when a person gets to that point, it's a beautiful thing. Because you just see them take action like they never, taken action before. They're taking massive action. They have courage. And what's cool is at that point, if you get to that pain threshold, you know exactly what to do. And you can have this challenge like, I'm going to knock out 15 points tomorrow. And if you did that tomorrow, then that means you could do it again. You do it again. And you just created this system, which is really amazing. Allow agents to objectively see what's kind of hindering their business, right? What's slowing it down, which is really awesome. And then on top of that, we have a planner where you can actually track it. And then we have the online community that we're building that can actually track it and tells you your performance. So it's just a really amazing system that you put together. And I think, agents should definitely take full advantage of it. And I think it will change their business. Definitely, for sure.
Well, so one of the things when we say 15-point day, and you said something I think is really important, because I think a lot of times people go, oh, 15 points. Well, look at all these things that I have to do to get 15 points. Like, I can't succeed. And like, that seems overwhelming and, whatever, like almost impossible to do for a lot of people, right? That's how they feel. And the bottom line is, like, if you feel like you can't, whether you feel you can or feel you can't, you're right either way, right? Like, it's that all comes down to belief and you believing in your own abilities and like aligning yourself with a system that you can execute accordingly. And if you don't believe in the system, you're not going to do, there's a kind of an old, I don't know, philosophy or whatever or it's like a psychology thing or whatever, but it's like the human brain only allows you to put 100% of effort into something that you believe with 100% certainty you can succeed with, right? So like, and I think that's the challenge. I think that's why most people struggle with money, is they don't believe they're going to be successful following the old traditional, kind of buy, hold, invest, hold, like for 40 years, and you're going to get there and be successful. People look at that and they, like, intuitively, they can't intellectualize it or like talk about why, because they don't understand it, but emotionally deep down they don't trust the system. So they go, well, I don't trust that it's going to work. So if you don't trust it, you're not going to do it. And so why not just enjoy life while you can, right? Like, that's why people struggle with money. And I think most people struggle with business because they don't know what to focus on, and they don't have a system they can trust, and they don't have a system they can hold themselves accountable to. And I think if you're going to like try to feel like anybody in the world is going to be able to be your accountability coach more than you're going to be yourself, you're going to fail. Like, because make no mistake about it, I could go through this and Matt could be my mentor, and I could go through this and I could not do it. And I could show up with Matt and I could lie to him and say, hey, Matt, yeah, I got, all these appointments and I got this point for this and this point for that. Matt's going to be like, talk to me about it. And I could BS him a little bit and, whatever. But eventually the truth is just going to show in results, right? Like, and, we are in this business because we need results, like, period. You need results for your family, and the people that you're trying to serve need you to have results, because if you're not here for the long term, that has negative ripple effects at the same time. And so, when it comes to the 15 points, if you don't believe you can do it, find something you do believe you can do. Like, commit to 5, like, the thing I love about it is, Matt said it, is like 30 days into it, you're going to be somebody completely different. You're going to look back and be like, holy cow, like, I've made a lot of growth strides. Kind of like when you go to the gym. I remember, as a former elite athlete, I used to bench a fair amount, and I would work out a lot and like whatever. And then, up until like 18, 19 months ago, I hadn't been working out for, I don't know, 5-6 years, like, I just was in a different phase, kids, all this stuff. And, before you know it, you look in the mirror and you're like, oh my gosh, like, this is not a good picture compared to where I want to be right now. Right. So you have to look at yourself objectively and be like, all right, I am where I am because of how I've showed up in the world. So I need to change this if I want to get to where I want to be. And so I started lifting again. I bought a workout thing and I put it in my room, and I put it in my garage. And I bought this like big rack and like full weights, because I didn't want the excuse of like being too busy with kids and not being able to get to the gym, because I had a gym membership, but I wasn't using it. And so then it was like, if I buy this, like, there's no excuse. I can never, ever now have an excuse for not working out at least 15 to 20 minutes a day. Right. Mm-hmm. And now, even when I'm super busy, the one thing I commit to every day is going out and doing at least 30 pull-ups a day, at least 100 push-ups a day, like stuff like that. And I've set rules, and I have the, the setup to be able to do it, that I can execute in alignment with my own beliefs and values, like what I prioritize. The cool part though was, this is the same way as working out. Anybody who's ever worked out knows what I'm talking about. You get your biggest gains right out of the gate, right? Like, it hurts the most. Yeah. If you ever not worked out for like a decade, right? And then you go lift, I promise you, you're going to be so sore. You're going to not want to move if you push yourself. And like, for the first like 5 days after you lift, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, this is the worst. And like, I can't move. It's painful. And, all these things. And then before you know it, 3 weeks later, maybe you started by benching 135 pounds. 3 weeks later, you're going to be benching like 50% more. Like, it goes that fast, but then to go from that 50% more, you go from like 135 to like 185. To get from 185 to 225 takes a lot longer, right? Like, so it takes some time. So you can hit bigger strides right out of the gate. And I think the same is with this. Like, if you think like, all right, I can't hit the 15, Start with 5, start with 4, start with something. Start by building the habit, start by building a discipline and a mental intention of going through a process. And before you know it, you think you can't get to 15, but I promise you, you'll be at 8 to 10 before you know it. And then maybe to get from 10 to 15 will take some time. But as you start to get results and your belief starts to really build, that's where you're going to start to hit 15, and you probably hit more. And the 15 points, I just want to be really, really clear. 15 points, the reason we have 15 points, that's if you want to make 6 figures. Like if you do 15 points a day, not only will you succeed, but like the average income for a life insurance agent in this country is like $34,000 for like a full-time agent. That's really bad, right? We're talking about $100,000 a year of income if you follow the process that we're talking about, like, and follow and hit and dedicate yourself to doing what's in this planner to hit, the 15 points, And once again, you don't need the planner. Like you could go do the points and you could be intentional. This is just a track to run on to measure and do everything Matt was talking about. Like, my focus, I just want people to live intentionally, and to me, I just tried to create a tool that would help people do it a little easier. That's all.
The tool, the 15-point day, working with agents, it's really awesome how it's just an effective tool. Like, for example, you said something spot on. You're going to get agents that automatically read this and they're going to kind of get shut off because they just don't believe they can do it. And that's fine. And so from there, what you do is you break down that part that they feel like they can't do. You break it down to the action that's within their control. Because a lot of agents don't believe they could do something. And this is one of the biggest problems, I think, in the industry, is you get a lot of companies that set goals and have agents set goals. But for me, a better goal is something that's in full control, not I'm going to go make $100,000. I wouldn't have that goal. Like that, you call it a milestone if you want.
Yep.
But a goal should be, I'm going to talk to one new person every day, something that you're in full control of. That way, if it doesn't happen, it's not that you couldn't, you just chose not to, right? And so, for example, like get a referral. I know some agents were like, I don't know enough people to get a referral every day. I'm glad you told me that, because this is where the coaching begins. So if I can show you a way you can get a referral every day, do you see how it could build your business? They were like, yeah, man, if I could get a referral every day. Okay. So now let's break it down. What would it take for you to be able to get a referral every day? And we're thinking about it. And they're like, well, I would need to know a lot of people. Okay. And do you feel like you know a lot of people? No. All right. So the next step is for you to be able to get a referral. Next step we're going to work on right now is let's start meeting new people. Is it within your control? You meet a new person, like get a new name and a new phone number every single day. Can you do that? It's like, yeah, I could totally do that. How are you going to do that? Well, I could do it at the grocery store. I could go out meeting people, whatever the case may be. And I think a lot of agents, they just don't have a way to work around their issues. They think of an issue, I can't do it, therefore I'm not good. Well, getting a referral every day, you could totally do it. Maybe you're just not at that stage yet, but let's go all the way back. Let's just start here. Let's just start a new name, new phone number every single day. And then with time, you could start asking for referrals, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, so here's something I fought against a lot, and I've since just pivoted my position a little bit, and I think it'll make sense why in a second. But one of the things that really bugged me when I got into the business, they made me fill out the project 200, right? So I had to like make a list of 200 people, friends, family. Like that's the way that you get into the business, and then you like work with a person. And I worked with a good manager, and like I had good success, and luckily I had the right person helping me, and it was good. But what I find a lot of these IMOs are doing, like your World Financial Groups, PHPs of the world, they're like, hey, Matt, join us, make a list, give us your list. We're going to help you. Like, we're going to farm that list. We're going to help you like close that list. And they basically like, I would try to take control of Matt's list. Right. Like, and so to me, that's a problem. With our 15-point day, we're talking about like one of the ways to get points is to spend an hour a day with education, right? Like, reading and education, self-development, product education. If you go through this, once again, 90-day challenge, I simplify it even more than, or less than one a day. I say, who are 50 people, list them out, that you feel called to help. 50 people, just list 50 people that you feel called to help. And if you feel 50 people out, my encouragement to you, and this is not by accident, by the way, is to go through your morning mindset and think about yourself. All right, the thing I'm most excited about today. Okay, that maybe is your business. I'm going to go through these questions. Something that might disrupt my success today is, right? So you got to think about like, what are the things that could happen that are going on in your life that you need to sidestep and avoid those landmines, and talk to yourself, tell yourself how you're going to deal with it. Like, how I will deal with it is like, all these things happen. Like, my wife works from home, got a lot of free time, love her to death. Obviously, she's my wife. She's like one of the most important things in the world to me. She's one of the biggest distractions in my world, right? Like, I love her to death. But like, I'm here in my office working, and every time she leaves the house and comes home and does her thing while she's just doing her thing for the day, it's a distraction. And so like, sometimes when I know she's working on a house project and we're doing a remodel and she's doing like, I know that when I have a jam-packed day and I got a lot of things to do, I know eventually she's going to be coming home from Home Depot. She's going to come through that door, right? And she's going to walk by my office that I'm looking at right now. And she's going to look at me, and it's going to be a distraction for me. It's going to derail me from what I'm trying to accomplish on the day. So so one of two things happen. If I don't do this intentionally to start the day, I either stonewall her, which damages my relationship with my wife, right? Or I go help her, which damages what I'm trying to accomplish.
Right.
But if I look at this and I go, wow, one of the things that could derail me today is I know Hannah's working on the fireplace remodel. I know she's going to Home Depot. I know this is going to be a thing. So when she comes home through the door, if she gets distraction, I'm going to handle it like this. So I can have her be heard. I know my relationship's in a good spot. And I know that I can, still keep doing what I need to do to accomplish and get all the things on this that I need to get done to build the business and serve the people that I'm trying to serve, right? Like, so that's just an example, kind of like, because a lot of people think like, oh, what do you mean something could derail you? I promise you, everybody has something, right? Like 100%, right? A person who needs my help today is ... Who needs your help? Well, guess what? I encourage you to go to this list of 50 people and pick somebody on that list that you could find, that you could serve in some way. You're not having to be Superman for them. You're not trying to save them from a runaway train, like going off the tracks or something like that. It can be some little things sometimes that make the biggest impact. Someone I could surprise with an act of kindness today is, right? Once again, if you use the list of 50 people that you want to serve and make an impact, and then every single morning when you're doing these affirmations and you're living this life with intention, it's about serving this list. It's about how you are showing up in your community of people. Like, a lot of times we make this list, and the first thing we do is we call the list. This is what's taught. They call the list, and you just try to sell them. You try to set up an appointment. It's like, I am working with it. No, why don't you just like stop giving a crap about your insurance stuff? Because that is very self-serving. That is all about you. Stop that and focus on what can you bring to the table and what value can you add to them. And I promise you, if you add value to them with nothing expected in return, they're probably going to want to work with you if you show up and do that authentically, right? You can't fake that. They're going to know if you're like, hey, like, what can I do to help you today? And then you do it and you're like, hey, by the way, we should meet and talk about your insurance. Like, please don't do that. Like, it's not going to go well for you. Right? That's something I could do to demonstrate excellence and add true value to my community. Is one thing I could do today that is out of my comfort zone is, if I was a coach looking at my life, I would remind myself to remember that something about your life and your business and today and how you're feeling and your emotional process and all this stuff. Like, if you were talking to a coach about what was going good, bad, ugly, indifferent, like whatever, what would you tell yourself if you were a coach looking at your own life? What is the one word I want to describe what is the one word I want to describe me as the best version of myself today, right? And I know that today is a major success right? So if you start yourself by being intentional about the 50 people you want to serve, and you start your 90-day challenge, your 90-day run with being intentional about the people you want to serve, and you wake up every day being intentional about who you are going to serve on that list, how you're going to be able to serve them, how you want to show up as the best version of yourself, and your intention. Guess what? It takes 10 to 15 minutes to do this every morning. Go make a pot of coffee, sit down at your table, wake up early before your kids get up. That's what I do. And I sit at the coffee table in beautiful, blissful silence before my kids' chaos wakes up. And you do this, and it's just amazing. And then you go through your day. Then you worry about the activities. And guess what? Don't worry about the points initially. right? Like the points are not where it's at first. You focus on the like adding value to your network. And then eventually what's going to happen is you do that consistently. And that's probably what you were talking about before, is like, you're not going to see the results right away. You do these things intentionally every day. 30 days later, you're going to see like, wow, I have the opportunity to get an appointment. I have the opportunity to do all these things that are going to start adding points to your calendar. And by the way, in the calendar where you do it, we have a point system column where you can actually track the points,
Nice.
right? Like, and it's awesome. And then you keep track of the points. And then at the end of every week, let me get to the end of every week, there's actually like a week reflection reconciliation. So like on Sunday evening, when you're off, you can do a weekly learning review and then a weekly business reflection, right, on this channel. And so basically in 90 days is 13 weeks. We have 13 weeks. We have 3 months that we go through. And, and that's what we go through. We live intentionally. And then at the end of it, you get to see where you are. Chances are you're going to come up short, especially the first couple, from where you wanted to be. But I promise you're going to be way further ahead than you would have been without it. That's what I don't know.
Yeah, I think, there's probably some insurance agents out there that are like, you know what, you guys are not my cup of tea, but maybe they'll take on the challenge. And I would almost guarantee it, if they did, and they did it within their own company organization, they should see massive success over time. And I bet you everybody around them, like, what are you doing different?
Soto just said the same is happening with him with working out. That's just the way it goes, right? Like I remember being like, when I was Olympic level javelin thrower, right? Like, so I was at my peak, I was benching like 275, like 12 times, and I could do it pretty intensely, right? And like, I remember being able to take like 255 and exploding up with it and like letting go of the bar and like catching it, like with 250, like coming down with it, like that kind of stuff. And then I remember when I started working out again, I used the 135 because that's what it was. I could lift 135 8 times. Like that was it. And I was like, oh my God, I'm pathetic. Yeah. Like, this is just horrible. I was like ashamed of myself, and like, but it didn't matter. And so, but then literally within the first month, I was up to 175 pounds, 12 times for reps. So I effectively, when you look at the extra reps and you look at the extra weight, I basically doubled my strength. You know what I mean? In that first 4 weeks, that is when we have the most growth opportunity, because you're starting from so much lower. And here's the deal. Like, if we just think about, there's 365 days in a year, that there's a saying that I think is so important, especially for people in this business to understand, if you really align with why you're in this business, right? And that is, people way overestimate what they can do in a week, and they underestimate what they can do in a year. Or they way overestimate what they can do in a year, and they underestimate what they can do in a decade, right? Like, whatever it is, people way overestimate what they can do in a short time and underestimate what they can do over a longer period of time. And, you have to kind of like tailor that to like what your goals and objectives are and like what you're doing, how you're going about it. But if we think about it, if like so many people are just trying to make these massive leaps and do like 40% growth in a week, with like just jamming in, like trying to build marketing and do leads and like calling people, and they get burned out doing like cold calling and like reaching out to their friends and family. And they're like a scattered mess all over the map, like a pile of spaghetti, just trying to make it all work. And it's like, nope, pull the spaghetti, straighten it all out. Like let's clean this mess up, and if you just focused on like, I'm just going to get 0.5% better, not even 1%, like get 1/3% better every single day. Just focus on that. What can you do to get just a little bit better every day? And if you go through a year and you get 1/3% better every day, you're going to get through the end of that year and you're going to be a completely different person, But that's the compound effect, right? We always talk about compounding of money, right? How important the compounding of money is. I got news for you. The compounding of the growth of yourself and the ability that has for you to produce more in this world so you can accomplish the life that you want to live. Like, you are the best asset that you will ever have in your business, in your own investments. You need to be in control of the results in your life. And we need to be looking at, is our money in alignment with building the best asset we have in the world and the most important asset that we have in the world, which is ourselves. All right. And And that's why I love what we do so much, because we teach people how to do that, right? Like, and but as agents, I think it's important for people to really align their mindset and their actions with the fact that, like, you have to develop that asset of yourself. And if you do it and you just focus on small incremental growth and you commit to a process, you are going to make much more impact than you ever thought possible. Like, I had big visions. Going back to the beginning, 9 years ago when I started Life 180, and then it failed and got reborn and all this stuff. And I can say this is, like, as much, I had the vision and I had all this stuff, I never would have, even then, I think, been able to visualize or had the confidence that I'd be having the impact that I'm having right now. You know what I mean? But it's only because I was willing to be bad to be good. And too many people let their own ego get in the way. They have perfectionist mindset. They want to go out and have it all dialed in and perfect before they show the world, how awesome they are. I got news for you. You're not awesome. And you're not supposed to, like, you are awesome and you're not awesome, right? Like, you're not supposed to be perfect, and you're awesomely imperfect, right? Like, and a lot of times, like, I get pushback, from people that are like, oh, like, you should do this or you should do that. And I'm like, well, if I could go do that, it would force, like, the perfectionist in me to kind of, like, evolve. And to me, I've committed to be like, that is something I just never want to happen. I don't want to be a perfectionist. I want to be, like, the most authentic version of myself that I can be. And I'd rather show my flaws, and I'd rather people see the bad side of things. And I'd rather be authentic when things are going rough. Like, one of the challenges, like, I think, too many people want to always show the good side. And that's the big problem that I have with social media, is like, how do we show, like we need to just pull back the curtain and show people, like, what's going on. And, like, this is not an easy business, and like, if we could just, like, show up authentically, it's that old adage that John Maxwell says, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care, right? Once they find out how much you care, you better know something, right? And it's like, and so, that's what this is all about. Like, show people how much you care. Just show up in people's lives. And if you lead from that, and I got news for you, and I'm going to be bold. If you don't feel a calling to show up in people's lives, you go sell solar. Like, don't do this. Like, you're going to fail. And let me save you 3 years of heartache and frustration and struggle, and go still do this, still not necessarily this, but still find a way to live life day to day in more of an intentional manner. But, like, if you don't really have a heart that you want to, like, help change people's lives, and, this is not for you. So anyway, I'm ranting.
No, that was good. It was good. And everybody can get this on Amazon now, right?
It's on Amazon. Yeah. So if you look up Life 180 Agent Success Planner, it's there. And that's the back of the book. That's the front of the book. And then, so the planner is there. But we are working on, so the planner, here, I'll warn everybody, because people are going to be like, $50. I put it on Amazon for $50. I did that on purpose, because I was like, I want, one of the things that we're doing, A, you can go buy it there. B, if you are interested in buying it, you can email me, chris@life180.com. I will, we'll work it out. We're going to be selling it for $20 through our own process and our own systems. For Life 180 agents, people that are with us, I know a lot of our agents watch these videos as well. We're going to have other ways to get it to them. For the people that are in our marketing programs and stuff, it's going to be included. They're going to get a free copy. So we're going to need to send it all out, but they literally just came out. So, like, we're just going through this process. So I'm just really excited about it. And we're also going to be creating a new community with the new Life 180 app that we're going to be launching. There's going to be a community group for agents who are utilizing this, for Life 180 agents and non-Life 180 agents that are going to be invited, that buy and take part in the system and the whole program that is encapsulated around everything in this. So it's a little premature. We're working on getting that launched, but it's something to look forward to for sure.
Exciting stuff.
Yeah, man. So anything else from you for the day?
No, that's it, man. I'm excited. And, you know, last thing is, if there are any agents who get the book and that are
Yeah.
not with Life 180, and you
Mhm.
actually go through the book, I would love to hear your feedback. You know, if it changed you, if it helped you kind of see things in
Mhm.
a different way, even if you're not with us and you benefit from it, we would love to hear your feedback for sure.
Got it, man. Yeah, no, I think that's awesome. So, all right, guys. Well, hopefully you guys found value in that. I know, this is definitely much more of an agent guided video, which is what these live streams are for, is for people in the business. But we got Soto on here, who's letting us know that this is sage advice even for non-agents. And I think that's a big thing, Soto, right? Like, is the focus is principles are absolute, right? They don't change. Like the concepts that we're talking about, it doesn't matter what you're doing for business or for self-development or whatever. These principles are absolute across all platforms. It's just, how do we make them relevant, to each person where they are. And obviously I think we could have, like we said, we could have taken this and made it for any industry or anything and just tweaked the 15-point system to their thing. And who knows, maybe we'll end up doing evolutions of this whole thing and doing all that. Knowing me, that's probably going to happen at some point in time. But but I think it's awesome, and I'm really excited about it. And yeah, thanks for being here. And any questions, comment in the comment section below. If you are an agent and you're looking to join a team or anything of that nature, we are actively growing. You want to set up a call with Matt. There's a link down in the description below. You can go do so. And that's it. Till next time, have a blessed, inspirational day. Thanks for being here. And